Hi guys. Today we will discuss a story about an issue which changed the Indian political setup after independence. Yes, I'm talking about the Ayodhya Babri Masjid-Ram Mandir issue. Now, why is this issue so important to discuss? Is because this issue got too much coverage from the media and was politicized a lot. However, we'll think like lawyers and we'll only take this issue as a land dispute. Yes, it was a land dispute between various parties who had a claim towards the title on a particular land. Now, the story begins in 1528 when the commander of the then Mughal Emperor Babur constructed a mosque called Babri Masjid. The name of the commander was Mir Baqi. In 1853, the first record of any violence with respect to the title of that particular land came into existence. From 1528 to 1853, there were certain theories whether this land belonged to some particular religion or particular sect of people. However, in 1853, the first violence was seen. In 1859, the British government put a railing between the Hindus and the Muslim part of the compound. So the compound where Babri Masjid existed, the inner area was the Babri Masjid that was constructed in 1528. And the outer area of that compound had certain religiously important places for the Hindus, such as Ram Chabutra, Sita Ki Rasoi, and so on. So in 1859, the Britishers built a railing between those two areas. In 1885, a significant improvement happened in this case, wherein Sant Raghuvar Das filed a case in the Faizabad court to build a canopy over the Ram Chabutra. However, the court did not allow for it and the petition was dismissed. In 1949, yes, we're talking about post-independence now, a really significant improvement happened again. On 23rd December 1949, several Hindu groups placed idols of Lord Ram in the mosque. Now this led to a lot of violence in that particular area and the doors of the masjid was closed for some time. In 1950, Gopal Singh Visharad filed a case in the Faizabad court to allow Hindus to worship in the outer areas of that compound. However, the court at that time did not allow for it. In 1859, Nirmohi Akhada filed a case for the title and possession of that particular piece of land. Now, Nirmohi Akhada is one of the 14 major akhadas which are recognized by the Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad. In 1961, Sunni Waqf Board filed a similar case for the title and possession of that piece of land on which Babri Masjid existed. In 1986, something very important happened with respect to this case. The Faizabad High Court allowed the Hindus to worship in the outer area, and after 1949, for the very first time, the doors of that compound were opened again. This agitated the Muslims. Now, in 1984, 2 years before this decision, Vishwa Hindu Parishad had already formed a committee to look into the course of action of this particular issue. In 1986, after this decision was made, the Sunni Waqf Board also formed such a committee called the Babri Masjid Action Committee to look into this matter. Now we're talking in the 1980s, where BJP has already come to the political forefront. BJP's Lal Krishna Advani is the primary leader of the party as well as in this entire movement of constructing Ram temple on this piece of land. In 1989, Vishwa Hindu Parishad filed a case in the Faizabad court for allowing them to construct a Ram temple on that piece of land. Now there are 4 undecided cases in the Faizabad High Court at this point in time. All these cases were transferred to the Allahabad High Court. In 1990, Lal Krishna Advani, who was the face of this Ayodhya movement, started a Rath Yatra from Somnath in Gujarat to Uttar Pradesh. He was arrested on his way to Bihar and the Rath Yatra could not be completed. Since he was a senior leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party at that time, and Bharatiya Janata Party was a political party at the center in the coalition government headed by VP Singh, Bharatiya Janata Party took its support back and the government fell. In 1991, Kalyan Singh was the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. He is believed to be supporting the Ayodhya Ram Mandir movement and thus the state of Uttar Pradesh took control of that entire land. Now it is believed that he leased the land to a trust called Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas Trust. However, the Allahabad High Court stopped this and stopped any construction from being done on that piece of land. In 1992, one of the most significant issues with respect to this case took place. On 6th December 1992, thousands of Kar Sevaks, who are believed to be the volunteers of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Shiv Sena, demolished the mosque and brought it to grounds. This was followed by a lot of bloodshed in the entire country and a lot of communal riots. These are considered as one of the bloodiest and the deadliest riots in the country at that point in time, killing more than 2,000 people. 10 days after this incident, on 16 December 1992, the then Prime Minister of India, P.V. Narasimha Rao, formed a committee called the Liberan Committee, which was headed by Justice Liberan, for a period of 3 months to look into this matter. However, this committee took a period of 17 years to come up with a report. Yes, you heard me right. The committee took 17 years to come up with a report and finally come up with a solution. However, the report of the committee was never made public. Now, all through the 90s, this issue had a lot of media coverage and it was politicized a lot. Everybody had their versions as to what should be done with that piece of land and what not. Now in 2002, yes, we are in the 21st century now. In 2002, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's BJP government was at the center. He started something called the Ayodhya Vibhag to find solution and peace, because there was a lot of communal violence happening because of this issue every now and then. He started Ayodhya Vibhag to find some sort of solution in this matter. In the same year, in 2002, a 3-judge bench of the Allahabad High Court was also constituted to look into this matter. The 3 judges on the bench were Justice Sudhir Agarwal, Justice Sabgatullah Khan and Justice D.V. Sharma. The Allahabad High Court directed the Archaeological Survey of India to investigate into this matter and come up with a report. The report of the Archaeological Survey of India stated that in the 12th century, there used to be a temple on that piece of land, and in 1528, there existed a mosque. So it was believed by a lot of people that the mosque was built after demolishing the temple in 1528. On 30th September 2010, the Allahabad High Court came up with this decision and divided the land in 3 parts. The first part was given to Ram Lalla, also called Infant Ram, and was represented by Hindu Mahasabha. The second part was given to Nirmohi Akhada, and the third part was awarded to the Sunni Waqf Board. However, this decision was challenged, and in May next year, on May 9th, 2011, this decision was stayed by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ने इस decision पर basically रोक लगा दी एक बार के लिए और status quo maintain हो गया. In 2016, Subramanian Swamy filed a petition in the Supreme Court to build a Ram Mandir at that place. By the end of 2017, there were 32 appeals from the Allahabad High Court decision which were filed in the Supreme Court. As a result, the Supreme Court also formed a constitutional bench, that is a bench of 5 judges, to look into this matter and finally decide it. This bench included Justice Ranjan Gogoi, who was the Chief Justice of India at that time, Justice Arvind Bobde, who is right now the Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Justice Ashok Bhushan, and Justice Abdul Nazir. Now, these 5 judges were given the task to finally decide this matter. Now, the Supreme Court in 2018 constituted a mediation bench to look into this matter. So, the Supreme Court believed that an out-of-court settlement will be a better option in this matter for the harmony and peace of the entire country. So, on the mediation panel, there were 3 people who were made to sit. The first person was Sri Ravi Shankar, second was retired Justice Khalifullah Khan, and third one was senior advocate Sriram Panchu. However, after the mediation and all the negotiations, they could not reach to a plausible solution, and in the end the matter again went to the Supreme Court. From 6th August 2019 to 16th October 2019, the Supreme Court conducted hearing in this case for a period of 40 days, which is considered the second longest in the history of the Supreme Court. On 16th of October, final hearing was held and Supreme Court reserved the decision for some time. On 9th November 2019, the Supreme Court finally came up with this decision. With respect to the Hindu community, the Supreme Court held that there was some sort of control that Hindu community always exercised on that piece of land. Because Hindu community was always allowed to worship in that piece of land in the outer area, as we already discussed. With respect to the Muslim community, the Supreme Court held that in 1949, when certain idols were placed in the Babri Masjid, and eventually in 1992, when Babri Masjid itself was demolished, the Muslims were deprived their right to worship, which is enshrined under the fundamental rights. Under Part 3 of the Constitution of India, the Muslims were deprived of their rights. And so the Supreme Court also believed that this land, as per the tax records, belonged to the government and not to a particular sect or a particular person. Now, with respect to the decision of the Allahabad High Court, the Supreme Court held that this decision was not sustainable because dividing of land was such a relief that no party had asked for. None of the party, as we all know that there are three parties who were claiming this land, none of the parties wanted half or one third of the land. Every party had a claim over full title of the land. So the decision as per the Supreme Court was unsustainable. So finally, the Supreme Court awarded the 2.77 acres of the land where once Babri Masjid stood to the Ram Lalla and asked the central government to form a trust to construct a Ram temple there. And the central or the state government were asked to provide 5 acres of land to the Sunni Waqf Board to construct a mosque within the boundaries of Ayodhya. Now, on 5th February 2020, the central government created a trust called Ram Janmbhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust to finally allocate the land. And from March this year in 2020, the first phase of construction has already begun with respect to the Ram Mandir. Now, this issue is really important for this year's CLAT aspirants because a lot of politics and a lot of history is backed up by this issue. Now, this is really important to understand from the perspective of current affairs as well as from a legal perspective that this issue has taken. Now, to understand some of the most important questions that may be asked from this issue and some of the important topic that may be asked, let's look up.